Well, you know you're out west when you just run over a tumbleweed. Tumbled right into our landing gear. Say bye-bye to the daylight.
Bye-bye, daylight. It's sticker central over there.
To bring me in here. So there's a sign that says poisonous snakes and poisonous insects with a little scorpion here. Hence why Scott is standing on the picnic table. We're just playing it a little safe. It's a great sunset rest stop.
Catch it, put it in a jar to have and to hold. To save for later, you cannot trust it to come again. To wait for you to find a pen and fill the paper with the message that it wants to send. Grab it, hold it by its tail before it is.
It's late. We need to keep this as minimum light as possible when pulling in. I don't want to disturb our neighbors. Let's go find our spot. Can we stop pulling into places this late?
I would love to. We'll be able to level even though we're still connected. We're only half a degree off front to back and about 2 degrees side to side. Side to side's easy. It's the front to back that we'd have to worry about disconnecting. 4.5 degrees easy. Let's get everything set up so we can get the girls in. When we woke up this morning, we didn't even realize this was out here.
Every corner that you turn, there's these cool little croppings of rock formations. I mean, not little. I guess you can figure out why they called it City of Rocks. So I think they've got some telescopes in there, and you can actually make reservations to come out on these pads and do some stargazing, which is pretty cool. Apparently the Pleiades smelled really good. You scouting this one out for the future? Can you imagine setting up camp right here? It'd be so cool to put a fire in that area and cast shadows on that big rock. The pup is ready for her ride.
Awesome.
Good girl. I think we're taking the El Paso Pass. Oh,
you went there.
We've experienced a few steep roads on this particular trip. Tips and tricks for not dying when dealing with steep grades. Tip number 1.
Don't be afraid to go 5 miles an hour below the speed limit. It really helps. That extra 5 miles an hour right there gives you a lot more room to control however many thousand pounds you have behind you. When you're towing that much weight, the momentum that builds up behind you and it's just pushing you along, that's really impressive. And 5 miles an hour makes a huge difference in reducing that momentum. It's best to respect your weight. The heavier you are, the slower you might want to go.
Tip number 2.
Be sure to engage your tow haul mode if you have it, your exhaust brakes if you have it. Keep an eye on what gear you're in as you're going down a steep slope. This can save your brakes from overheating so that they're nice and fresh in case of an emergency.
Tip number 3, also about brakes.
Whatever you do, do not ride your brakes. That causes them to overheat, and then when they get too hot, all of a sudden, you have no brakes. The brake fluid boils, gas gets in the line, and your brakes just vanish.
He's very good at not touching the brakes when you're going downhill. Tip number 4.
Space is a good thing to have, especially on a steep grade. Things change rapidly, and if you're right on the bumper of the guy in front of you, well, he might be able to slow down quick. If you're towing a heavy trailer, you probably can't.
Tip number 5
is alive.
It's about staying alive.
If at any point those start getting too hot, slow down even further, or better yet, try and find a safe place to pull over and give them a little bit of a break and let them cool off.
The truck likes the tips.
For this last one, it applies actually not just on steep grades, but all the time, although it applies probably a little bit more on steep grades than it does in regular terrain.
Okay, last tip. Tip number 6.
Don't be afraid to tell your loved ones or your passengers, or just whoever it is who's sitting next to you and talking, to hold on a minute. Just take a break. You need to focus on what's in front of you right now.
Meaning it might not be the best time to have a very heartfelt and deep conversation whenever you're trying to survive a downgrade. So
Or an
keep
upgrade.
you, or an uphill.
Steep grades, just
Steep grades in general. Might not be good to have a conversation like this.
it's far better to tell them to hold on a bit and then resume the conversation after the difficult terrain has passed.
We hope this helped you to navigate some difficult roads or maybe some difficult conversations with your partners and loved ones.
If we safely and successfully navigated the pass, both uphill and downhill, does that mean we made a passing grade?
This is a first for both of us.
Okay.
I wonder if we're gonna have to let them inspect the RV.
I don't know.
Do we look like we're just on our way to Carlsbad Caverns?
Well, I mean, the fifth wheel might make us look like we're on vacation or something. They're not wrong.
No. He looked in the back. He saw the cat and the dog. I guess with, furry friends like that, we didn't look like we were up to no good. We're on our way to walk around in a big old cave. It looks like there are spots to put your RV, but it also looks like they've parked a lot of construction equipment in the spots where you would normally park your RV. Glad we didn't bring ours.
Carlsbad Caverns wasn't always a national park. Carlsbad Cave National Monument was established in 1923. And then in 1930, Congress created Carlsbad Caverns National Park.
Oh, that's awesome.
The park ranger just told us that the bats have started to migrate, that the best time to actually view the bat population at Carlsbad is between March and the beginning of November. So they just started migrating last week. I guess we'll have to come back. Oh no. It's a little windy when they have to have special gated things to remove the trash from the park.
Now the only thing you can take down there with you is regular ordinary drinking water. So any flavored beverages at all and anything edible just stays at the surface. Way to think ahead with those camel packs.
Am I blushing or?
Along with that comes no touching any of the formations. Most of them are very fragile, but the oils in our fingers will damage even the big sturdy ones, and we'd like to prevent that. Now along with that comes no littering, which does include coins in our water. Unfortunately, they're not wishes, they're just toxic metals. And other than that, folks are all set. That big hole in the ground is right over there.
In 1898, Jim White was a 16-year-old cowboy working on one of the local ranches.
The story goes that one day he noticed what he thought was smoke off in the distance, so he went to check it out. As he got closer to the smoke, he noticed that it broke apart into little pieces. Of course, it wasn't smoke Jim was seeing. It was bats.
He looked at the huge cloud of bats and the large gaping entrance and thought, if there's that many bats coming out of a hole that big, that must be one huge hole.
He built a ladder out of sticks and old wire, and with only a homemade lantern for light, he made the first of what would be hundreds of trips into the cave.
That was an adventure.
So bright when you look up, and then so dark when you look down. Put my sunglasses away, I don't think I'll need them. All the guano.
I'm guessing these bats are not potty trained.
As they're leaving the cave.
Climb, 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 dump all that extra weight. I think dump is the key term here.
That's definitely what we were smelling.
Oh, yeah.
It is lining the rocks right at the entrance. Well, they gotta make room for their dinner.
Imagine taking a tour here 75 years ago, walking among magnificent formations, but only being able to see them by the dim glow of your lantern.
I'm trying to imagine walking all the way in and then 4 or 5 hours later walking all the way back up.
I'm glad we won't have to do that today.
Me too. Look into the blackness in front of you, into the general area of the bat cave. That's where the bats roost in summer. The bats are Mexican free-tailed bats, and they've been here for thousands of years.
They winter in Mexico, show up here in the cave sometime around late spring, and leave in October. The colony generally numbers in the hundreds of thousands, but as you might imagine, it's pretty tough to count small, swirling, dark creatures at dusk.
This interpretive guide, the self-guided audio tour, worth every penny. This is awesome.
Welcome to Carlsbad Caverns.
And say goodbye to the last of the daylight.
Now that we're past the entrance, the path is illuminated by lights. It's pretty cool that they don't put lights at the entrance so that animals and other things won't be attracted to it. Everybody seems to be going down, but nobody seems to be coming up.
It's just a little steep.
It wasn't until 1929 that the National Park Service blasted a tunnel. Back then, the trip was a lot more difficult. There wasn't much of a trail. Visitors had to climb up, over, and around the rocks.
It's the coldest hand that run down this land where the ocean lands. It's the tallest sound, the damn smallest crowd, but their hearts break loud. Far from ever feeling lost with me, I'll push you back towards the land and sea. They're going down for love, and love is free. Stick with me and I will guarantee you're never lost among the crowd with me. Never lost among the crowd with me. Everywhere you go I'll be. Anywhere you go I'll see. You're never lost among the crowd with me.
You can hear dripping water all over the caves.
That dripping is the sound of change, and you can hear it year-round. This is a drip pool, created by rain and snow soaking into the ground and falling into the cave. The rock here stops the water and holds it, so drip after drip after drip, it grows into a drip pool. But if there had been a hard rain on the surface 2 months ago, you wouldn't see much of an increase in drips down here. Where a drop of water goes, and when it will make it into the cave, all depends on where the rain falls on the surface.
We got some rangers working on the lights.
Big storm and a transformer blew off the property, and so yeah, we had to rely on them recently.
I'm glad you guys are doing it. We really appreciate it.
Glad to know they're working.
Yeah, it's our pleasure to do it.
You see how the rail goes right around the rock? That's awesome. That rock is protected. Very considerate handrail.
Can you imagine coming down here in the late 1800s and your only light source is a homemade lantern?
Ooh.
Now there are more than 1,200 light bulbs in the cave, some of them in very hard-to-reach places. It actually takes special training to change a light bulb around here.
Where's it actually hitting?
Up to the top. It's hitting that right there. If I had to guess, that guy fell from right up there. Can you imagine the echoes in the cave?
I would have been running for the surface. We found some stairs.
Dripping water is the sound of the cave formations growing. Rainwater trickles down through vegetation and soil on the surface and picks up carbon dioxide gas, which mixes with water and creates carbonic acid.
So when I first got here, there was a lot of lights that were out, and then when Caver Dave started working on the lights.
Did you say Caver Dave?
Yeah, that's his name. He's called Caver Dave. He's been here a long time.
Nice.
I hadn't seen parts of the cave ever lit up like that before. So many lights go out all the time.
Absolutely.
It's a constant, constantly replacing bulbs and everything.
Imagine the effort, engineering, and maintenance that have gone into the creation of a safe cavern trail system. It's a huge job. Most of the work is done by hand, and all of the materials have to be carried in. Over the years, trail routes, construction methods, and surface materials have changed. In fact, we're still experimenting with surface materials today.
This underpass was added so that incoming and outgoing tours could pass each other more easily.
Maintain and improve.
I love the Rangers. This pathway is going underneath Iceberg Rock.
These pools are in complete darkness. There's no organic input. There's no streams washing in organic debris. So any microbes that were in the cave had to live on just what was there, the water, the rock, and each other. So a microbiologist came in and just put some sterile slides near a bunch of the pools and some of them partially in the pool just to see what was there. He found in a few of the pools in Lechuguilla Cave more biodiversity in those pools than the exact same square footage would be in the Amazon jungle.
You can never be sure that you have discovered all there is to find. Currently, a resurvey of Carlsbad Cavern is underway that has already revealed new passages.
Take a look, you can see where the rope goes up to.
So that reaches Halloween Hall, a cavern.
That's Spirit World above it. And then above Spirit World is Halloween Hall.
Which they just climbed to in 2014.
I don't have a whole lot of memories of it, but when I was a kid, I came down here, and I do remember this little dining area, and I always thought it was what a restaurant on the moon would look like.
I think we're extremely lucky. I think this would have been really busy during summer, but right now, it's pretty much empty. Of course, I don't know if it's lunchtime. I can't tell what time it is. We have no service. All I know is we're hungry, this is good, and there's a giant brownie.
There we go.
Oh my gosh, it's got the fault line. You know that's a good brownie when it's got a fault line. Just had the box lunch like they started serving in 1956. I guess they were all sold out of the fried chicken today.
We came in on this trail here, and then we've got 1.25 miles to make all the way around underground. Here we have Das Big Room Route.
Hey, it's one of the routes.
The root of it all.
The big room seems to be where stalactites and stalagmites nearly touch. It's like almost column there, almost column there, almost column there.
There's one off to the side where it is a column.
Good job, buddy. And that one right there looks like an ice cream sundae with a cherry. There's a cherry on top.
Well, I guess it's because as the water hits, it splashes a little bit.
And it gives that cherry on top kind of look. There's a cherry on top.
Park Ranger Greg Litton tells more.
250 million years ago, according to all the geologists and the scientists, this part of New Mexico was a coastline. And a coastline very much what you can see today around Florida and the Bahamas. If you can imagine sandy beaches and maybe a warm lagoon, clear water.
Over time, a reef formed at the edge of the sea.
But not like the reefs in the Caribbean or Australia.
No, not a coral reef. It was built of sponges, algae, and other animals like clams. As these creatures died, their skeletons formed the limestone of this mountain we're walking through. For years, cavers knew Lechuguilla Cave as Misery Pit, a deep hole in the ground that didn't go anywhere. Over the years, cavers reported wind blowing up through the rubble on the floor. There's a saying in caving, if it blows, it goes. Wind moving at 30 to 40 miles an hour was a pretty sure tip that there was a cave waiting to be discovered.
With permission from the National Park Service, some cavers began to dig through the rubble, and sure enough, they found a passageway.
Lechuguilla Cave is restricted to exploration and research, and then only by very experienced and ethical cavers. Every caver has to carry everything they need to stay alive, and they have to carry out everything they take in.
That's important because Lechuguilla Cave is like a cutting-edge laboratory. Let's listen to cave technician Tom Bemis.
We've got 3 rules of 3 for caving. The first rule is you never go into a cave with less than 3 people in your group. If somebody gets hurt, you're going to want somebody to stay with them and somebody else to go out for help. The second of the rules of 3 is each person in that group carries at least 3 sources of light. And I've come out of a cave more than once in my last source of light. In fact, I've had to fix my 3rd source of light in a cave before, too. The 3rd rule of 3 is you tell at least 3 people where you're going and what time you plan to be back out.
Look at how wet and shiny the Crystal Spring Dome is. It's one of the most active formations in the cave. In fact, from this point on, you'll find a lot more moisture in the cave. Water may not be dripping everywhere, but the cave is definitely still active.
Moisture levels have naturally fluctuated over the past several thousand years, and today, the arid climate of the Chihuahuan Desert means that very little water enters the cave.
I consider caves to be one of the last frontiers on this planet. On the surface of the Earth, just pretty much everything has been explored now. But you get down underground or at the floor of the ocean, that's about all that's left.
We go into the cave, and it gets dark, and we come out of the caves, and it is dark. We might have enjoyed our time down there. Thanks for watching our video. We hope you enjoyed our exploration of Carlsbad Caverns as much as we did.
We didn't get to see any bats this time, but we will be back. We will see those guys.
The bats come back, and so will we. Welcome to Real Time. We're in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we're about to attend the 50th annual International Balloon Fiesta.
That's India Peak, right there.
We are fast forwarding past many great adventures.
You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
What happened to then?
We passed then.
When?
Just now. We're at now.
Go back to then.
When?
Now.
Now?
Now.
I can't.
Why?
We missed it.
When?
Just now.
When will then be now? Soon.
This is going to be an amazing time, and we're so looking forward to sharing it with you. Hot off the presses.
Coming at you. So here's a little taste of what's to come.
And see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Hey, we're now officially in the desert southwest. Look at all the saguaro kick. That guy looks like he's hugging somebody.
I hear something.
It's right here, Ray. It's looking at me.
I like to be alive. Living's good.
Living is very good. This is a dark sky location. We saw millions of skies at night.
It's a big old world out there.
Let me know when.
It's going.
It's far better
Take
to...
exit 35 on the right to US 62 East, then keep right.
It's far better to tell them to hold on a bit and then resume the conversation and...
It's like that scene in Goonies where Mikey's like, I really gotta go. And they like separate to go use the restroom. No plans to drive into the caverns. That would be bad. I don't think we'd be welcomed back.
Let me see them fly. Let me see them fly. Let's see fly. There's one flying.
I think we're taking the El Paso Pass. Oh? I mean, when it's a pass that goes through the mountains and it connects El Paso on both sides. Now that's horsepower.
3 horsepower. Oh, nice. Wind turbine propeller blades. Cool.
They're just missing the hub.
Hubba hubba hubba.
Thanks for watching our video.